The history, rules, and play of rugby, a comprehensive story. Introduction, the birth and evolution of rugby. Rugby is a sport that combines physicality, strategy, and skill in a way that few other games can match. Played on fields across the world, rugby has a rich history that stretches back centuries and a growing international presence, with millions of fans cheering on their teams from local clubs to the global stage. Rugby is often seen as a game that arose from the traditions of football, soccer, but its unique nature and intense play set it apart as a distinct sport. Whether played at the elite professional level or casually at the grassroots, rugby has a legacy that is beloved by many. This is a comprehensive journey through rugby's origins, how to play it, the rules and regulations that govern it, and the significant moments in its development. The origins of rugby. The origins of rugby are famously traced back to Rugby School, a boarding school in the town of Rugby, Warwickshire, England, in the early 19th century. The legend goes that in 1823, during a regular game of football, soccer, a student named William Webb Ellis broke the rules of the game by picking up the ball and running with it towards the goal. While this may not have been the first instance of such behavior, it became symbolic of the new direction in which the game of rugby was headed. Prior to this, football, soccer, in England was played under various rules depending on the region. It was common for players to handle the ball, but the idea of running with the ball in hand became a significant break from the tradition of kicking it. Ellis's actions at Rugby School became so iconic that the school's rugby team adopted the same fundamental idea, and the game began to evolve into what we know as rugby football. While the exact origins remain the subject of some debate, it is widely accepted that Rugby School played a pivotal role in shaping the sport. Over time, the game spread to other schools and universities, with Cambridge and Oxford quickly adopting versions of rugby. Eventually, rugby became an organized sport with its own distinct rules. The development of rugby, a split and the birth of two forms. By the late 19th century, rugby had evolved into two distinct codes, rugby union and rugby league. Rugby union is the form of rugby that is most widely played globally. The first governing body, the Rugby Football Union, RFU, was founded in 1871 in England, and its rules were initially very similar to the ones created at Rugby School. Rugby Union's emphasis was on amateurism and maintaining traditional ideals about rugby's values. Its success was reflected in the creation of international competitions, such as the Five Nations Championship, now known as the Six Nations Championship, and the establishment of the Rugby World Cup in 1987. Rugby League arose from a split in the sport over disagreements about the payment of players. In 1895, a group of Northern English clubs broke away from the RFU to form the Northern Union, which later became the Rugby League. Rugby League allowed for players to be paid, which led to its growth, particularly in Northern England and Australia. It is generally a faster-paced game, with more emphasis on attacking and fewer players on the field compared to rugby union. Though rugby league and rugby union share some similarities in terms of basic play, there are key differences in their rules, team sizes, and scoring systems. Rugby union is traditionally played with 15 players per side, while rugby league has 13 players per team. How to play rugby. Rugby is a physically demanding and exhilarating sport that requires speed, strength, strategy, and teamwork. Both versions of rugby, union and league, share a lot of similarities, but rugby union is the more widely known and played version. This section will focus on how to play rugby union, though much of the following is also applicable to rugby league. The objective of rugby. In rugby, the primary objective is to score points by either 1. Scoring a try, grounding the ball in the opponent's in-goal area. 2. Kicking the ball over the crossbar of the opponent's goalposts, to score a penalty goal or drop goal. Rugby is played on a rectangular field known as the pitch, which measures 100 meters long and 70 meters wide, with two in-goal areas, behind the try line, at each end. The game is divided into two 40-minute halves. Key positions in rugby union. Rugby union teams are divided into two main groups, the forwards and the backs. 1. Forwards, 8 players. These players are typically the stronger, larger individuals, and their primary role is to win possession of the ball through scrums, lineouts, and rucks. Forwards are responsible for the physical contest, engaging in close quarter play. Props, 1 and 3. These players are involved in scrums and are crucial in providing stability and support. Hooker, 2. Positioned between the props, the hooker is responsible for winning the ball in scrums and throwing in at lineouts. Locks, 4 and 5. They are tall, powerful players who excel in lineouts and are essential in the scrums. Back row, 6, 7, and 8. These players are generally the most mobile and versatile, often involved in tackling, carrying the ball, and stealing possession. 2. Backs, 7 players. These players are usually faster and more agile than the forwards, and their job is to move the ball out to the wings or backline and score tries. Scrum half, 9. The link between the forwards and backs, responsible for passing the ball quickly from the scrum or ruck. Fly half, 10. Often the playmaker, directing attacks and deciding whether to pass, kick, or run the ball. Centers, 12 and 13. These players provide both defensive strength and attacking flair, often involved in breaking through defenses. Wingers, 11 and 14. Typically the fastest players on the field, wingers score tries by running down the sideline. Fullback, 15. Positioned at the back, the fullback is responsible for defending against kicks and counter-attacking. Basic rules of rugby union. 1. Passing. The ball can be passed backwards or sideways, but never forward. Forward passes result in a scrum awarded to the opposing team. Players are allowed to kick the ball forward, but they cannot touch it after a forward kick unless they are behind the kicker, in the case of offside. 2. Tackling. Players can tackle opponents to bring them to the ground. A tackle must be below the shoulders, and any high tackles, above the line of the shoulders, are penalized. After a tackle, the ball carrier must release the ball immediately, allowing the tackler or other players to contest for possession. 3. Scrums. A scrum is used to restart play after minor infractions, such as a knock-on, when a player drops the ball and it goes forward. In a scrum, 8 players from each team bind together and push against the opposing team's forwards, while the scrum half feeds the ball into the center. 4. Lineouts. A lineout is awarded when the ball is thrown out of bounds. The forwards from each team form 2 lines, and the players lift their teammates to catch the ball thrown in from the sideline. 5. Rucks and mauls. After a tackle, a ruck is formed when players from both teams contest for possession of the ball on the ground. Players must stay on their feet. A maul is a situation where a player with the ball is held up by one or more opponents, but the ball remains off the ground and is contested by players on both teams. 6. Scoring. Try. A try is worth 5 points and is scored when a player grounds the ball in the opponent's in-goal area. Conversion. After scoring a try, the team has the opportunity to kick the ball through the opponent's goalposts for an extra 2 points. Penalty goal. If a team is awarded a penalty, they may choose to kick for goal, earning 3 points if successful. Drop goal. A drop goal, where the ball is dropped and kicked through the posts during open play, is worth 3 points. 7. Offside. Players must always remain onside, which means they must be behind the ball when it is played. Being offside results in a penalty. Rugby's global impact and growth. Rugby quickly spread from England to other parts of the world. It was introduced to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, France, and Wales, where it became a major sport. In the late 19th century, rugby teams in these countries began competing in international matches. The Rugby World Cup, first held in 1987, is now one of the most significant events in the sport. The competition has brought together the best teams from around the world, with nations such as New Zealand, South Africa, England, and Australia regularly featuring as the dominant forces in international rugby. The rise of professional rugby in the 1990s significantly changed the sport, allowing for greater commercialization and the development of professional leagues like the Super Rugby and the European Rugby Champions Cup. Today, rugby is played in countries across all continents, and its global influence continues to grow. Conclusion. Rugby is a sport that blends history, tradition, physicality, and strategy. From its roots at rugby school to its modern-day global prominence, rugby has evolved into one of the world's most exciting and beloved team sports. Whether played on the streets or in packed stadiums, rugby's appeal lies in its rich history, its competitive spirit, and the camaraderie that it fosters among players and fans. With its unique mix of toughness, skill, and strategy, rugby remains a sport that captivates the hearts of millions worldwide.